French National Automobile Museum, the Schlumpf collection. Things have changed. This is the new magnificent entrance. And it's very big. A magnificent museum. Things are really elaborate here, but very nice to be inside. Of course, Bugattis are one of the premier cars here at this museum, and here's the first shot you get coming in the entrance. Hood ornaments. Nothing but hood ornaments. Excusing the sound, this museum has all been changed, so they're doing some construction work, but here's the first Bugatti Royale, the first one we're going to see. This particular exhibit is dedicated to the Royale. Also premier cars in their collection, Mercedes. This is what we saw when we first entered from above. They have so many Bugattis they can just use one for display and tear it down. Glorious Bugattis. One more close look at this open chassis. The Atlante. Let's indulge in this Royale one more time. The Royale was so big, this thing is enormous. It's like a canyon of wood. And then the inner body work. La Royale. Very Royale. Panhard Lavoisier. Now for the little salon for the Schlumpfs, including the baby Bugattis. Salon is just dedicated to their interest in collecting cars. The first Bugatti. And now for the reality. 400 cars here, of all ages, sizes, and types. And there are a lot of them. And a lot more. And they just keep coming. Now here's the second of the Royales. And the third. This room's very dark, but it has some of their real prized cars, which seem to be all Bugatti so far. You realize that Bugatti built a lot of cars when you came here. They weren't a small producer. Type 55. Type 46. What a revelation. I saw the Francini. Well, another one. Bugatti. Still, the Royales. or the big show. The other Royale. They got them really packed in here. There's Bentley in the foreground here. And more Bugattis. You can see how long this building is here, and it's just filled with obviously wonderful cars. Mercedes here, and Rolls-Royce. Again, the Royales. The Royale. Now the other Royale, everybody enjoys the same roof, but fancy upholstery. Ooh. Here's the, again, here's the Premier Royale here from the rear. Okay, we have to face the task now of all these cars. Yep. Of course you know. Vis-a-vis Type 1B Mario Union. We all know what they are, right? Louvers and all. Uh-oh, are we going to deal with all these cars? This is what I mean. There is no way you could do it all. Renault. Okay, here's a sport vehicle, but you know, you can always put the other body on it, and you got a sedan. Piccolo. Of course, look. Panhard Levasseur was very big. Clement Bayard. You know them. Les Zebres and a Renault. Rolls-Royce and a Hispano Suiza. Special exhibit here, Rolls-Royce. Bugatti Torpedo Type 19 BB 1911 and others. I'm teasing you, but we'll get to these big guys later. More Torpedo BB, but Peugeot. You can tell Renault, the early ones, the radiators are right up in, right near your feet, up near the steering wheel. Bugatti 4-cylinder. Emile cars, they're French. Early Citroëns, or Citroën. There's a Mercedes and a Bugatti, another Bugatti, and a Mercedes. Here's a new name on the block, Lancia. Mercedes, but Bugatti. They made a lot of Bugattis. Like I said, more Bugattis. To show you how great this museum is, this is just on the way, and this is for the kids, you know? What a great deal. Maybe for the kids, but I'm enjoying it too. And you can see in the background things to come. Not all Bugattis were attractive. I second that. Gonna assert my own interest here. Now we're getting into some other Italian cars here. Maserati, Alfa Romeo, Jaguar, Alfa Romeo. And now here's one of the premier Alfas here. And of course, because there's no M. And then Fiat Balilla and more Bugattis. Balilla, Bugatti. Oh, fabulous. Now in that same row of cars, you have the Mercedes lineup here. Yeah, Mercedes. And lots of them. However, let's go back to the era of the Volkswagen and the proposals for the people's car, you know, and little Volkswagen in that Mercedes. All right, this is the last row, believe it or not. Mirrors are deceiving of this presentation of cars. But oh, what we've got. Citroëns in the background, but here's what's significant about this museum. I mean, this car. Insignificant, maybe? No, very important. There's so many. And they throw in a few oddities, like these little models and things like that. And a few more oddities. Woo! We're in France. We're in France. Les Modernes. Yes. There's a Hotchkiss Gregor. Now, Panhard Lavoisier still existing. We're getting into Renault now too, Citroën. Post-war Peugeots, Alfa Romeos. Post-war, and of course you got the Fiat 500. Still popular today. Just passing by the oddities again. Okay, the last row here. We're counting them down. Of course, sprinkled heavily with Bugattis. Automotive history here. Aren't these kind of little miniature Royales? Yes. Now we've got to face reality here. Bugatti was starting to, let us say, fail. And this is what we're seeing. That period was 1951, and of course the British were doing some stodgy equipment here, but Mercedes was coming on strong. Now we get into some pretty exciting stuff. Ferraris, Maseratis, Alfa Romeos, Mercedes. Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, Ferrari, Ferrari. No, off to your right, that's not more cars. Those are the mirrors there, but here, oof, one of the finest. Now that's the main room. Now we're going to go into a very dramatic sort of Formula One Grand Prix racing. Now we're entering sort of the racing aspect of this museum. All the older cars first, you know, obviously. And lots of Bugattis, Delahaye, Peugeot, and others. We'll just go down the course. Bugattis. It's impressive. A lot of blue here, right? And now the so-called modern era. Now this room is obviously dedicated to racing, and it's incredibly impressive. Mercedes Benz, Bugatti, Alfa Romeo, Maserati. Yes, Maserati and Alfa Romeo. Now on the right, I'm saying the right, what we're looking at now are the enclosed cars, the sports cars. You hear the sounds in here. So there you are, that's Ferrari, Maserati, Gordini. Oh, the stereo sound in here is great. Now being in France, of course, you're going to have a lot of French cars here, and a Gordini, it was very, very prevalent in the 50s and actually the 40s too. Again, those Gordinis. And then we get into, obviously, the 300 SLR Mercedes, 55. And then we're really going to get into the new era. The era of the ultra streamlining, the high tech. There's Porsche in there. Obviously. Now let's go into the open wheel car history. Talbot and Maseratis. Cizitaia, a Ferrari. Gordinis, other Ferraris. The original Ferrari engine here, supercharged, right at the end there. Yes. And then the Gordinis, the Ferrari, and on down. We're getting there. Now there's a 250 Maserati, very famous. Here's another one here. Like I say, this museum has everything, and more than one. And there's a Ferrari, and then back. Now, being a French museum, we got the French cars here, and Bugatti attempted Formula One, or Grand Prix as you call it, and that wasn't too successful, particularly this one here, which had the engine running crossways in its makeup. Are you ready for this lineup? Wouldn't that be great to hear all those running? Oh. Now I would say the really modern era now. Aerodynamics, downforce, and all that. Again, a French auto museum, the Matra, very famous. A couple of Lotuses back there. And of course, here's the a Porsche Indy car. And then we get into the Renault Turbo era. Alain Prost, two examples of the cars he drove for Renault. Jordan Peugeot. We're accelerating history here, of course. But there's a Peugeot there. Now we get into Renault here, after the Peugeots, and a Honda. It's a time warp of racing history. There were the enclosed cars, and then of course the Formula or open wheel cars. A great room, wonderful room. Now if you don't like walking around, you can ride around in their own vehicles here. Back to the kids' display. You know, you have to realize this is a museum for everyone. And it's for me too. This is a museum in itself, with all the cars circulating, moving here, and identified. And a Mercedes, and other, you know, rather accurate car depictions. Alfa Romeo back there, flying cars, sensational. Okay, some random shots here. Bugatti wasn't always elegant. I mean, you know, here's a pretty practical looking pickup. Nor were all of them elegant. Here's an OM, won the first Mille Miglia in 1927. Maybe not that one. 540K, 540K, 500K, Mercedes, one of their engines. And throughout the museum they have these movies you can sit down and watch, and I could sit for hours and watch these. Yeah, Bugatti started to hit the skids. There's a Hotchkiss Gregor, and then there's Panhards. And here's a strange one. And of course used in a publicity shot at one time. Strange but interesting. Panhard, Lavoisier. Two of my great favorites, but this Alfa Romeo I love. Disco Volante without the covered sides. And 250 Maserati, or Ferrari, excuse me. 250 LM, I mean, come on. Le Mans. No, the left wheel is not broken off of it. This is a three-wheeler. Type Tricar. We won't try to explain the technology in this one at the moment. Okay, they have modern displays here too. Obviously, you know, this is a rotisserie type situation, but I think it's more of a thrill ride. And I think they're demonstrating seat belts here, or at least safety devices of some sort. Doors are slammed. Technicians ready. And it's starting to revolve. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. You're upside down in the car, and that's what it feels like, huh? Oh. That's like, oh, that sound reflects the way I feel. Oh my God. Alright. Out they come. Dizzy as heck. What about a Pilan? I don't know. How about a Ricardo Brazier? Leiki. Yes, that's what I mean. Too many to recognize every one of them. Showed this early, but 1911 Bugatti, the BB. Mathis. Sadly for video that doesn't show up too well, but this shows you the magnitude of this exhibit. These are Hispano Suizes, like pieces of jewelry. And here's a Voisin sitting here in the dark light. Isotta Francini. And another Isotta Francini. I think we saw this earlier. Yes, and we saw this earlier too. Sad to say, we're coming to an end of this marvelous museum. We're leaving now, and this is the Panhard Lavoisier, the first mass-produced car in the world. We're leaving the museum now, but there are a few more displays. This is the engine that goes in a Bugatti Royale. And here's a Bugatti showing the supercharger. The light's going out now, showing how a Bugatti engine works on the video. Bugatti 4-cylinder, 1942. And now the exit, but we go through a lavish gift shop and souvenirs and memorabilia shop. Time to leave the museum, but still a very, very dramatic entrance. One more shot. All right, we are in Zuffenhausen, and we're actually in the epicenter of where Porsche is built. Here is the new Porsche Museum, just completed. It's just overwhelming. It's this massive building sitting up on these legs. This is a mammoth structure. And you ask where the traffic is. Well, it's a holiday. I mean, there's no one who will be underwhelmed by this building. No one. You have to see it to believe it. This is a World's Fair structure if there ever was one. Standing on 3 legs. Not 4. Now the whole underside is reflective panels. Kind of gives you the size and the structure. And now let's go inside and see the Porsche Museum. Should be spectacular. It's almost subterranean in the entrance, and this is the escalator, the shaft that goes up through the center to the exhibit. Right away you come inside, there's the restaurant, here's the ticketing, and this is the escalator that takes you up. From the ticket counter to a little coffee bar. And a display right here of early Porsches. And now it's up the escalator. Of course, if you want to take the steps, I won't even count how many. But here's one of the interesting views out as we go up of the legs, and you can see the factory over there. And what do you see coming right up the escalator? One of the original shapes hammered out. To orient you, there's the escalator. This is what you enter and see for the first item, and then you have a whole display here of everything. It's a very quiet, reserved feeling in here. And the Volkswagen down there. Porsche hired by an electric company in his beginning career. He designs a wheel hub motor. Let's get back for a minute here, and you get to see the building. It really doesn't take away from the cars. It's just so high key. I mean, look at the white, it all blends together, but it's spectacular in its own right. They're showing a movie here, the Targa Florio, and right on the left and the right are 3 cars that entered the in the event. 356 America Roadster. Interesting display of lightness. Again, talking about lightness. Structured body, 130 kilos. That's not very much. Taking a short break. There is a restaurant and cocktail lounge in there called Christophorus. As long as I'm at this vantage point, there is the escalator coming up, and you can see the first car you see, and you wind around, including the first Volkswagen. Porsche's efforts in a Grand Prix car, pre-war, and here's the first Porsche, number 1. 1947, when Porsche was in cooperation with Italia. Type 360 it's called. One and a half liter supercharged 12-cylinder engine. As you go along here, you see a number of Porsche activities in the early days, vehicles he was involved with. And of course, the Volkswagen, the Beetle. 1924 Mercedes. Porsche was involved with. Now we're getting into other Porsche designs that have been created. In other words, that's the original prototype for the Speedster, and then we get into others. Interesting design, but here's a second look. An extended version. Just little variants. Around the periphery of the display are a number of production cars, just echoing the idea of a 4-cam, 4-cylinder engine. Very rare. The thing that's remarkable about this display is that there are no barriers for the cars. I wonder how long that will last. Additional racing versions. Now we're talking about aerodynamics and ground force and things of that sort, and here's a pretty obvious display with a view of Stuttgart in the background. Display just continues. These are Le Mans cars. And here's an incredible display of racing machinery from their past. All the way from Can-Am to Le Mans. Yes. Very, very clever and well created display. The background keeps changing, so does the lighting, and it's captivating. Yes, even the pig was there. It got made fun of because of its bulbous shape, so they just sort of indicated carving up the size like an animal. Everything is planned for. You can just sit and relax and enjoy yourself. Just really well done. And there's that entrance escalator, but up above there are a number of, including one of the tractors. Display of the 12-cylinder, most powerful engine Porsche ever made. Turbocharged. The turbocharger unit, exhaust, injection, including all the spark plugs. I love it. And of course you've got the differential and transmission over there in the corner, taking all this horsepower. Now in the upper area here you got 924, 928, engine display. Looking out, and you're looking towards Stuttgart. Porsche Carrera GT, Type 771, tag turbo motor. Flugmotor, airplane engine. Boxer motor, 901. Turbo motor, type 930. 928 offshore racing engine, boat racing. From cars to airplanes, race cars to boats. It's all here. We're at the very high point of the museum. 924 prototype. This is called a Jagdwagon Porsche. Type 597. One impressive museum. 959. Some of the many trophies won by Porsche. And then you can sit here and watch stories told by various people in races. Motorsport area, they call it. There's just a quietness in here. It's just wonderful. And look what's coming up. Silver, my favorite color. This is just marvelous. Here are the two cars that represent Porsche's entry into Formula One. And of course the Mexican road race Porsche Spider up there. Of course the Porsche Carrera here in the foreground, GT. The other one is a 911 GTI. Together making a very impressive display. Oh, no. Sir? Well, the crowds are starting to pour in on this holiday morning. And rightfully they should. This is really fabulous. You know, even a Porsche police car there. You remember the pink one we saw earlier? Well, here's how a pig is sliced up for food, and they used that to inspire the paint job. That Le Mans car. Little humor here in the museum. Types: 911, Carrera, SC. I guess you've got to say this is really the highest point, up near where the restaurant is and that, but we've reached the top. When we saw that other Porsche tractor in the store across the street, this is only a standard, not a super Porsche diesel tractor. An interesting sculpture done of Porsche parts from a Le Mans car, of course. We need somebody to demonstrate this, but you stand here and out of these cylinders here come sounds. One is a tractor, one of them, believe it or not, is and you believe a Harley motor? 917, 911, even a Harley. Alright, there's the escalator again. Looking down, Targa Florio cars. Models on display, but here's just some study models done in years past. Now we're going back down, hopefully beating most of the crowds here, but just getting a glimpse more of some of this stuff. Display here on design. Now here's a cutaway complete, just right down the middle. No holds barred, they cut right down the middle of the engine. And this is the other half. The electric seat. Cams. There's the airbag. Steering column right down the middle. Little view of the subframe here. Through the floorboards and the subframe in the front. Yeah, this is one of the most impressive displays here. It's a 917. Yep. Upside down. Even the lettering's upside down. We're heading down now. Still with a lot of people. It's very quiet. And now the Targa Florio display. I have a feeling these are going to change over time because they may be just featuring this, and they'll probably put Le Mans cars here later. In the beginning, I looked around, but couldn't find the car. I dreamt of so. I decided to build it myself. Again, 1.5 liter, 12-cylinder engine, supercharged. For doing it with Chisitalia. The first Porsche. Going to be leaving now. It's been a great experience. What a story. Again, remembering Ferdinand Porsche and the invention of electric wheel. A Flugmotor. An airplane engine. Astro Daimler motor splits, fire engine. Astro Daimler Sasha. Mercedes Benz Rennwagen, 1924. Time to leave. Here we're leaving. Great experience. Out on the street again. Back down to the coffee shop. Well, you come back out. The noise of the cars and reality again. Magnificent structure. Now from the museum, you can see some of the old Porsche buildings here. Where the old Porsche Museum off to your left. Wait a minute. Spotted an invader. A Ferrari. How can that be? Again, some of the old Porsche factory buildings. Zuffenhausen. We're now in Stuttgart for the Mercedes Benz Museum. Incredibly dramatic shape. This is the museum. Very different from Porsche. It too has dramatic columns and glass and curved surfaces. Well, this museum is a little different. You start by going up the elevator all the way to the top, and you work your way down. Well, you may begin at the top, but this is right over at the a little coffee shop here. It's pretty exciting stuff right here, including cars going around a circle here. The couple, they've just got married and they're here in the Mercedes Museum. I love it. Thank you. Oh, look at this. Historic record cars sitting on these pedestals are these all these future cars. Boy, it's so true. Here we go. (1938) and 1939. Actually, we have not gone upstairs yet. This is really the bottom floor. However, I don't mind doing things a little backwards. Now again, we're going to start the museum by going up this elevator. And as you go up, you spy the different floors you'll be going down. Well, you're at the top, and we're greeted by a horse. I do believe in the horse. The automobile is no more than a transitory phenomenon. Emperor Wilhelm. Well, the emperor was wrong. Early pioneers. Daimler motor, and thusly powered. And all the other kinds of pioneers. Boats, trains, wagons. This is a gem. Little engine in the middle. Lots of pioneering activity. Daimler motor locomotive. A wagon. Another wagon. This is 1899. Different motors. The original opposed cylinders. Now on your right are photographs of the very development of the Mercedes, actually, you know, Daimler and becoming Mercedes Benz, the growth of transportation and all the other aspects of that made the industry grow. In one of these pictures, automobility, automobility. Magnificent room, different lighting, different dramatic effects. It's just a hushed silence of the magnificence of this place. Oldest Mercedes, it's a Mercedes Simplex, 40 horsepower, oldest existence. It came after the Maybach, which was the first automobile in Germany. Now here's our first look at the, or look down at the elevator shaft in which we came up. All right, we're way up there. Now here is a very brightly lit room. There's a lot of buses and transportation. 1939 Mercedes limousine. This Mercedes limo is really sleek. Small diversion, Mercedes Arena off there on the right. A lot of athletic fields here. And here's that other striking building down below. Stuttgart is a beautiful city. Like you see in South America, India, Mexico. Here's one of those buses all gussied up. Another elaborate bus. There's all kinds of little sidebars, you know, you get a glimpse of what's coming through these. 1940. And your regular, just street buses. Like I say, South America, Mexico, this is Buenos Aires. And we're getting a glimpse of the factory, and there's a test track down there. That circle, and it leads over, not the freeway going by, but it goes way up the side there. A view of the factory complex. Again, from down, looking down below. Well, here comes an elevator. This is futuristic. This is fabulous. Another one of those galleries. Another view outside. Mammoth Sports Complex. This Mercedes Center is enormous. These are air motor production. Airplane motors. Now here's one of those aircraft engines that's seemingly upside down V. V12 and like a Henkel Messerschmitt engine. 1944 Dornier engine. That's that airplane that had the push-pull, one on the back and one on the front. 1914 to 1945. Now this is another one of those curved wall affairs where you come in and world history is being documented on the walls as you come down into this room, including World War I and World War II. Panning the whole affair here. Hey, take a look at the building. It's just different angles and different shapes, ways of describing the story. Of course, there's, talk about the war. Now we have trucks, which easily gets a lot of attention. Good reason. It's Very, very striking. And on the side they're showing all of its victories. Mille Miglia Turistorvi, Targo Florio, Sweden. The car sitting on the truck has that unique dive brake. This hinge device here would raise to slow the speed of the car. This is a postal truck. Look how far the hood sticks ahead of the front wheels. 1938. Again, another little sidebar here in the building. And a car hauler. Double wheels in the back. Again, striking. Double wheels in the front. That postal wagon is spectacular. And if you want to bypass part of the exhibits, here again is one of those little exits. Mercedes supercharged engine. Supercharged and diesel. The pre-chamber combustion. Magnificent. Some of the shapes in here. More of the factory. Now we're coming in 1945, after World War II. Again, you go down these walkways with all kinds of beautiful photographs showing you different historical happenings. Like for instance, the Berlin airlift. Now we're in 1955. And Elvis. The gull wing. And the 300 SLR coupe, which I believe there's only one. Great music being played. Rock and roll, but they're showing the roadways that were built. Obviously, development of their country. The space frame. Pretty hard to argue with this display. All kinds of heavy equipment, functional equipment. Tow trucks, snow plows, fire engines. This is a Unimog, all geared up for snow. Chains, everything. Hook and ladder. A brutal truck like that, and look at the museum, how graceful it is here. Chain pulls it up. One of the historical photographs is a Guggenheim, and this museum was obviously inspired by the starting at the top and working down, or spiral. Next room. Again, a reminder, floors to come, or floors that we've been to. Safety testing, interesting station wagon, and buses. Now, this is a testing car that's towed by another vehicle and has all kinds of monitoring devices in it. One-of-a-kind vehicle. Hot water rocket. This is a thing that pushes the car into the safety test. This is a gallery of celebrities. There's the Pope Mobile right in the middle. Ringo Starr's Mercedes. Steven Spielberg's movie Lost Worlds. President Eisenhower visited Konrad Adenauer and they rode in this vehicle. Hirohito of Japan rode in this. This was his vehicle. Queen Elizabeth II rode in this. Emperor Wilhelm II, his vehicle. A German movie star rode in this. German soccer team in 1974, victorious, their bus. And the Pope Mobile. Princess Diana's Mercedes. You walk down the wall of history and you're just shocked by all the things you remember. The Berlin Wall, Khrushchev, Mandela, World Trade Centers, all of this. Mercedes Benz retrospective. We're getting to the bottom. This circles the thing, and it's just showing a Mercedes in some area, somewhere in the world in one day. Now people can sit here and watch on the monitors, and in the background is a whole array of cars. Like I say, we're getting down near the ground floor, and this is a famous banked turn showing all kinds of exciting Mercedes vehicles. "75 years of Silver Arrow with noise and sound and light." 1936 Mercedes Grand Prix engine. Indy motor, 1994. Race truck motor, 2001. And here they're coming at you. That's where the sound's coming from. This is a racing simulator. People get in it at their own risk. Well, they got the motor sound going. Now what happens? I presume they're showing something inside, and now there's your gravity pull. Going up the hill, down the hill. Fantastic. Oh, almost gonna roll over or not. Race drivers being shown in racing suits. All right, here is last year's Formula One car. And here, that's the 55 version, all apart. And the body. Let's do that one more time. This is just absolutely spectacular. Now, you ready for this? Here is the final floor, Silver Arrow. Yeah, you can hear the sounds. It's exciting. Magnificent. What a museum. And here it is in one swoop. Pre-war. Post-war. And on around. So well done. I really don't want to leave. And at the end, of course, there's a gift shop, but boy, I'll tell you, it's quality and really worth the whole show. Here is that building I was remarking about, which is kind of a showroom. Yeah, it's a Mercedes showroom. Two-level showroom. Okay, we're leaving, and this building is obviously the factory delivery building, or a showroom. But again, it's a nice day. There's the museum. Deutsche Museum, Munich, Germany. And did I mention cars? Lots of them. From race car seats. This is the big theme of this museum, this presentation right here. That car is an Audi. And note the bikes up in the back, the old bikes. But then you get into some motorcycles. Of course, there's a 1922 Mercedes in front of us, and some interesting motorcycles, including a Norton at the top. And then here's a BMW. .300 SLR, an NSU Speed motorcycle record holder, and of course the Auto Union, and right in front of it a Messerschmitt. Interesting combination. Again, an Alfa Romeo with obviously a new body on it, but it looks just like, again, a Wanderer. There's the entrance, and of course the gift shop and bookstore. Boy, that Alfa Romeo is deceiving. It looks like a Wanderer, an NSU car. 300 SLR. Come up the stairs and you're standing on a Formula One car. That is spooky. Yes. New York to Paris Protos. Now study this motorcycle. The engine is the front wheel. There are the cylinders radiating out from the center. Megola. Incredibly unique. Stepping back a little in years. A Rumpler. Electro wagon. And an NSU. Wheels. Mercedes Benz truck chassis engine drivetrain. V12. My Air, a V10. Even some great pedal cars. In another hall, there's additional transportation. Including this wonder. Carry a spare belt. Interesting two-cylinder, a V-twin. Another V-twin. And more older vehicles. A Didion Bouton. Mercedes. And now get ready for a whole line of them. Again, the Deutsche Museum, Munich, Germany. The car is a Wanderer. Goliath Pioneer. Opal, in a wonderful color. Mercedes. Lancia Lambda. To a Horst. This is a Minerva, but notice the windshield up into the roof, but also a big trunk on the side. Minerva. More to come is a Tatra in front of a nice stylistic gas station. U.S. Army Jeep, BMW war motorcycle, wartime. A German Ford, about 1937. A little longer than our version. At least the styling makes it look so. Tanos. This is an Adler, but it runs on wood, burning wood. Wood gas generator. Bags of wood on the roof. Almost embarrassed to show it. Well, if you had a Vespa scooter and a Zundap motorcycle with sidecar. A Citroen car, we'll get to the bus in a moment. Some motorcycles and a very large Mercedes limo. A Setra tour bus. And a Volkswagen twin window Very old. You don't see many of those anymore. I like this tour bus. It's streamlined. And that's the rear. This is Hall 1. Everything from a Pontiac Fiero to Volkswagen Golfs, Opels, Fiats. Won't name them all, you can recognize them. Citroën 2CV, Volkswagen Bus, Fiat 500. Ford of Europe prototype. Some of my favorites, the micro cars. Right after the war, boy. Not much fuel was available. So you had a lot of these. Like a Hinkel, which made airplanes at one time, or a Messerschmitt, right there on the right. And Italy's answer, the Fiat 500. You remember the Volkswagen we saw a little while ago? Well, here's the one that's even rarer. One of the originals. Opel in the background. Now, here's an interesting car, a Zundap, which ended up making motorcycles. My error, this is a Steyr. The Zundaps are the motorcycles next to it. We'll go on. More of those micro cars. That's a Bussing. That's the name of the company, truck. And of course, a Citroën with other motorcycles. DKW. Otto Daimler. You know, Bugatti. That DKW is really cute. This is a Hanomag. 1925, mid-engine, rear-wheel drive. An actual picture of it. Mercedes. Mercedes, and this is an Adler. And a whole bevy of older cars. Have to show you this. Steering, propulsion, seating, tandem seating. What a concept. No airbag for this one, just stick them right up front and let them ride. Remember that bevy of cars? This is an Opel. Daimler. Adler. A Krupp street sweeper. Yeah, the streets had to be clean then too. Another one of those wood gas generator trucks, or a truck this time. Ford, as a matter of fact. And the wood box on the right there and the boiler on the left. The street sweeper is just mechanically interesting. Various motorized bicycles of our contemporary period. BMW worked with hydrogen, and here's their tank and engine. And the car is on display. Yes, it's a bike. So that pretty well completes the automobile display here at the Deutsche Museum in Munich, Germany. Well, we've just arrived at the BMW Museum. There's the office building that's well known here. And we'll be in the museum in a moment. Are you ready? This is just the BMW building to show their new cars and have delivery taken. Absolutely spectacular. Again, spectacular. This is a museum in itself. Look at the ceiling in here. You can get factory tours and obviously overseas pickup. I love it. This is the spiral glass area that you saw. It's a showroom. I forget for a moment, this is to show the cars. Elevators going up and down. I mean, this place is something else. The ultimate exhaust sculpture. Little Formula One display here. Now, I'm going to cross the bridge and head to the museum across the street, where it has always been. Design and shape change everywhere. Ultimate showroom, including a restaurant up there. Now outside the windows you can see the old Olympic site. The stretched tensile buildings out there. Alright, it's back outside. There's that initial showroom we saw. And there's part of the factory and the original headquarters building in the museum. Okay, we're in the museum now. No cars yet. And of course they make motorcycles as well. And here's a whole wall display of old BMW bikes. What started it all, the opposed engine. This is how it all got started. Airplane engines, motorcycles, and the first car. Take a careful look at that motorcycle. This is one of the first. Another motorcycle, 1938. Now we're talking, showing a new body here. And here's a obviously older, say a frame up. Of course, they're racing heritage, and this is the winner of the 1939 Mille Miglia. Then we'll cover some Formula One work up here too. It's a very dramatic museum, as you will see here for a moment. Motorcycle. Nice display. The banking, the turbo era, you know, with Nelson Piquet. And one of the more recent, Nick Heidfeld, Formula One. Early streamlining still was great. 2005 BMW motor, Grand Prix, Formula One. 2003. 2001. 1999 V12. The Brabham turbo motor. 1983. 1976. 1974. 1967 in the Lola. 1939, 1954, they get back into the auto business. Neat little displays along the way. All the different numbers, 328, 330, 325. Now back to the motorcycles. Obviously the record speed holder there, but numerous other road racing versions, along with a sidecar, dirt bikes, off-road to say, and the current. One of the first ones. A more contemporary approach here, the styling with cars and motorcycles. Those earlier engines were racing engines. This is production. development. Very impressive. We saw this display earlier, the upper bikes. Whole array of their offering, including a police bike up there. The heavy metal bike, pocket rocket, off-road. Additional displays. 1934. And now for some fun, the Isetta, 1955. And the 202, which made a big mark in America. One with a roll-down door. Touring cars. 1938 aerodynamics. Some we get pretty wild. Touring cars. M1. M-Power. As we look at these engines, let me tell you, when you came into the exhibit, it lit up. I mean, that's part of the dynamic of this museum. 78 into the 90s to 2002. This is a hydrogen-powered record car. Set a number of speed records. BMW has always played around with a little modern art and splash and pizzazz and things like that. Now we get into the old museum, which is a, well, they call it the bowl. It's a big bowl-shaped building. Another dramatic and exciting museum. Again, that record car. Again, some very, very interesting shapes. Well, you go out of the museum, then you go back into the museum. You're going into the old museum now, which has all been refurbished. This building is wild as well. We're at the very top now. 1934, 1935. Pre-war motorcycle. In 2008 they introduced this M1, which is the 30th anniversary of the M1 car. The recent motorcycles, and again, ...2000 van, crossover, and a BMW powered motorized hang glider. On the final stage here are some prototypes. As we remember seeing earlier in 1939 or 1940 winning BMW the Mille Miglia, this was a retro version done in about 2007. My Air 2006. And it's one of my real favorites. The design sketches here are close to being accurate for the final version. And it says homage to the Mille Miglia, and that it is. Another prototype. However, I think there's a version of this now being produced. Final show in the museum. Tremendous. And so ends the tour of the museum. We're in GMUND, Austria, where Porsche started out. For the Porsche Museum. Yeah, even on the roof. Wait till you see the entrance. Beautiful country around here. And here's the entrance to the museum. It's a ramp going up to this barn-like structure. Maybe the original Porsche rolled right down this ramp, but look at the entrance. A lineup of Porsche engines on the wall, along with virtually like a Volkswagen engine. Wonderful cabinets here with original Porsche model woodwork. All kinds of timeline history, but we saw this one in the Porsche Museum in Simthsonian, the real thing. There's a movie here that shows all kinds of Porsche pictures.
30 Jahre Automobilgeschichte sind hier versammelt.
Even the Porsche tractor, they're showing a reunion. Again, the engine display.
Im gleichen Jahr beteiligt sich Porsche zum ersten Mal am 24-Stunden-Rennen von Le Mans.
356 motor. The museum has various machinery used to begin the effort. It's a very small room with very few cars, but very significant. One of the wood bucks, obviously one of the original hammered out versions. And there's quite a collection of Porsche models, toys, various other cars. And that's the downstairs. Now we're going to go upstairs where the ramp went. Beautiful old building. And then right against the door we saw where the ramp comes up. Volkswagen chassis. This is a Steyr. Now we saw a Steyr that looked very much like a Porsche Volkswagen in the museum in Munich. Little green car. So Porsche must have something to have done with that car. .906 and the 910. Formula Super V 356B 1940 Volkswagen. I have to say James Dean gets a real big play in this museum. Pictures downstairs. Here's the buck for the car he died in. And we have the German military Jeep there. And this is a Jagwag, which is a later version Porsche Jeep. Then you have an RSK. And of course the wood buck. These things are just wonderful to look at them. Woodwork is spectacular. Yeah, Jimmy Dean. Yeah, the tragic ending. The Volkswagen chassis. And they're playing Moon River in the background. Just what a beautiful day. Well, we got a couple of famous names here. Michael and Mario. Le Mans. Well, 962 Imsa Coupe. And the Jadwagon, there's a picture of it in the water. So, and they have a cutaway 968 in here. 968. Another view of the Jadwagon. It floated. Now from the other end of the museum here, another panorama showing the extent of this collection. Number of trophies for winning some of the races. Now, to give you an idea of where this museum is, again we showed the outside, but this is the town of GMUND on a beautiful day. From this buck. Great pictures in the background. Tucked in the corner is a tool shop. Wheels displayed, gaskets on the right there. They were organized. About time to leave, but what a history. What a car. 911 motor. 1600 Carrera. 1500 Carrera. 356, 1600 Super. Notice this one said 356 motor, but type VW 369. And the VW engine. Okay, there's the ramp, and that was the upstairs museum. That's where they worked on and built the cars. And then just look at the countryside here. I might start to yodel. Little cafe here, all the rest. Porsche Museum. We're at a very interesting auto museum here in the principality of San Marino in Italy. This is the Ferrari Museum, and it's very dark, so we'll have to take our chances. Engines, lots of dazzling lights, and some pretty nice cars. Maranello Rosso collection. Drawings for the 815, even some smaller versions. A little lighter in here. But one of the prized cars of the collection is that the owner is an original owner of a GTO. Bought it from Enzo Ferrari himself. And with the mirrors on the wall, it seems like twice as many cars, but there's still very prized cars in here. And all kinds of dramatic artwork. And car parts. And an ASA. And again, the GTO. There's a Dino and a Daytona, and a 330, and a Luzo, and others. And you've got a 275 GTB here. Well, here are the real prize collection. The Dino Grand Prix car, an F40, and others, competition. But look at this. Parked in your garage. 365 P3 and the 330P. Incredibly rare cars. Lots of memorabilia, Formula One car, Villeneuve, and again I said a Dino. 246 Tasman Dino. I really don't want to leave. This is the Ferrari Museum in Maranello Italy. It's a big place. It's all here. One has to get here early, the crowds get very large. and the new. The early years of Formula One. And the engines in the background. This is a Lancia D50, when Ferrari sort of inherited it from Lancia. Great pictures of glory from all the years. This model display is all the Formula One cars that they've had at one time, over the years. All the models. And an engine lineup. Again, racing to the very newest. Noting the trophies in the background as well. Back to the current cars, 2006. 1990, 1989, and 1987. One of the current engines. A little story on tires. The museum is always changing, and they have other cars in here now in this current exhibit. This is a Fiat. You even go to the restroom and you've got sculpture. This is kind of interesting. It's a 12-cylinder engine block as it came out of the foundry. Even simulators. Now the Galleria here, or the Rotunda, is always a great exhibit. This is the Agnelli Ferrari. Very unusual. Yeah, the Rotunda is always impressive. Now the museum is a multi-level display. Racing on the bottom floor and other cars on the second. The upstairs room. Some interesting study models on the wall. This display on the wall is very impressive because it shows really the evolution of the change of the shape of Formula One cars. And below that is an engine evolution. GTO armature and a 275. There are various shows that go on in here. Some artwork. Looks like we have a 512. It's a great place.
Yes.
Even Enzo's office is on display. There's even a model of the old Ferrari complex in Modena, which is now gone. Great films. Ah, the old days. Yes. Great movies. Yes, there's even a display of a Ferrari racing boat. The newest Ferrari V8 in the California. And a little ode to the Baroni wire wheel. Sometimes you have to focus on some of the really unique and unusual ones. And this is an original D50. Boy, what history this car reeks. That's 1955. This is 1963. Look what they became. Rolling tubes. So very low. But in 1958, after the Lancia, this is what Ferrari created. A lot of people have left, so let's take another quick look. It's a very quiet, reserved feeling in here. A little bit of Ferrari and Maserati history. Now here's a very interesting photo composition of all kinds of pictures of Enzo Ferrari. You too can be a driver. And finished off with a nice little cafe. And that is the Ferrari Museum. Yes, the Cavallino reigns supreme at this museum.